friends and neighbors. Welcome in the light, where laughter's the answer and hearts are shining bright. With calloused hands and wits, so raise your sharp. Let's praise a place where love ignites the spark.
Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to Sunnyside. And it's Tuesday, which is a different day. Usually I put these out on Monday, but I wanted to make sure that we got the guest in, and this is the way that the schedule worked out for everybody. So, sunny side of life on a Tuesday. And it is Sunnyside. It is sunny today. It's beautiful out, and what a great day, and it feels like spring. So, welcome back to the sunny side of life, and I've got my special guest with me today. I can't wait to introduce Dr. Jim Brockhohn. Hi. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Doing good, Troy. Thank you so much for having me here.
You're so patient. I was just a little bit late, and I appreciate your patience, but I'm looking forward to this conversation because we've been actually on and off in different capacities, particularly around, I guess, the fine arts, theater, and so forth for about the last 30 years.
Yes.
I can't believe time flies when you're having fun. We started let's see, well, so we had the Brick Street Theater back in the late 90s, yes. And we got that going, and then I left. I moved for work and went up north, and then you ran it.
Yeah, I became president when you left. What year was that?
I think that was 2001, maybe.
2001? Okay.
Maybe 2001, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's been 26 years.
Yeah, because it was you and I and Pat Benda and Mary Beth Woldridge.
Yeah. I was neighbors with Bendas when we lived in town, and so Pat would say, you want to come over, and so I'd sit there with Pat and Mary Beth.
Yeah,
and they'd have wine and talk about what kind of shows we could do. And that's how I think we did the Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Yes.
Is what the show was the first time. And then I can't remember the next year's show was something, I can't remember what that one was. And then we did a production of A Christmas Carol.
Yep, it's Christmas Carol.
Which I had transcribed, from the book by Dickens, and so we have Brick Street's got its own version that we've actually produced twice now. So that's fun. But anyway, it's not what. So that's kind of how we got started. And you were part of that, yes. and then you took over as the president of that, and then you guys did some film stuff. And then it kind of took a break again, and now Brick Street's back, and it's been going strong for
very strong.
Last 10, 11 years, I think. Yes. I think 2015 is kind of when it came. I can't exactly remember, but I want to talk about some. So first of all, you are a chiropractor.
Yes.
So when I say Dr. Jim Brockhohn, I mean you're the doc. Get that back cracked and adjusted, and all the things you need to get done. How long have you been doing that?
I've been a chiropractor for 38 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And acting for 32.
And acting for 32.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. So first of all, what made you want to be a chiropractor?
Oh, well, I was working part-time at a bowling alley.
Okay.
And I thought, I got to do something different. This was in Monticello, Iowa. I thought, I'm going to be my own boss.
Yeah.
And before that, the bowling alley, I was working as a prison guard. And also at a factory.
Yeah.
I got laid off. And then when I started working the bowling alley, it was a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And there was an auctioneer and a chiropractor bowling that night.
Okay.
I asked each of them, I said, so what does it take to become an auctioneer? He said, like 6 weeks or something. It was really quick.
Yeah.
And I asked my chiropractor, who took care of me. And I said, how long does it take to become a chiropractor? He says 6 to 8 years.
Okay. Wow.
So I went home that night. I told my wife, Cindy, I said, I'm going to be a chiropractor. So Friday, I didn't have to work the bowling alley in Monticello, Iowa. So I went to Kirkwood Community College, and I went in there, and I asked them about their prerequisites and so forth I needed for schooling. And they said, well, I'm sorry, but we're closed for new students because we start Tuesday.
Okay.
And I said, that was Kirkwood Community College.
Yeah.
I said, no problem. Coe College will take my money. I got off the chair before I went out the door. I said, come on back.
Yeah.
So I went back, and then so they signed me up, and I was in class by Tuesday, and I went to Palmer College on that Friday also.
Okay.
And I went to work on Saturday, and I said, I'm not going to work here anymore. I'm going to be a chiropractor. So I decided on Thursday night to be a chiropractor, and I was at school on Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was almost auctioneer speed, though. You know,
when I put my mind to something, I do it.
that's amazing. Yeah. And so, and we're not going to talk necessarily about the chiropractic business and everything, but you've been, that has taken you all over too, because you've done rodeos and did you do some Olympic stuff too?
Yeah,
And,
I did the PRCA, the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association. I did that circuit for 10 years.
yeah.
I was a state coordinator. So I would line up the rodeos. I'd line up the doctors and everybody for that. And we'd have maybe 12 to 15 rodeos a year. So I did that for 10 years. And then in 97, the USA team asked me to join the Olympic team. So I did.
Yeah.
So I went to Atlanta, Georgia in 96.
Wow.
And then they called me up, wanted me to come to the training center in 97. So I went to the training center in 97 in Colorado Springs. And then about 5 years later, they asked me to come back again. So I went back there for a little while.
Wow.
So I made 3 Olympic travels.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, who are some of the the favorite people that and you were working on people too, right?
Yeah, I can't say who I worked on, but
Oh, yeah.
that's the year that Dan O'Brien,
Okay.
won the decathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he came through the clinic and like 3 days straight for his decathlon with his fiance. And so we took care of them, and then he gave me a free pass to watch him win the gold.
Oh, wow.
That was fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, just a cool thing. And I'm sure that rodeo people, they definitely need some adjustments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes they just get sore just by sleeping in their truck.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rodeo cowboys and cowgirls are a really different breed of people than anybody else.
Oh, for sure.
They before they ride, they get together in a group and they pray.
Okay.
And I would
good idea.
put my table right next to the chute.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the bulls go kicking out, I'll get dirty.
Oh, wow.
I have to be there. And then Wrangler's my sponsor.
Okay.
Wrangler Sports Chiropractic. So I'd have to wear the Wrangler outfit, the hat, the boots, and everything. Even if it's 100 degrees, I was out there sweating with them. Yeah. It was a lot of fun doing the rodeo.
It's a very interesting path. And of course, you've had your business here in Forest City for how many of those 38 years?
Well, 38 years. I've been a chiropractor 38. So yeah, 37 years.
Okay.
I was in Kentucky for 1 year.
Okay. Very good. So you grew up in Monticello?
No, I grew up in Springville, close to Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
I just worked at a factory
Oh, I see.
in Monticello,
Nice.
in the bowling alley. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, and so you've been in Forest City for almost 4 decades, and as a businessman, and obviously as a practitioner for chiropractic, and then also having all of these additional cool, road trips and for the Olympic team and just the rodeo and all that. But you've also had a lot of other road trips too, because you intimated earlier that you've been acting for, you say 34 years or 32?
32.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. And my tagline is, I'm an actor, but I play a doctor in real life. Yeah. Or Chiro-Actor. I mean, they're just
a Chiro-Actor. I like that. The Chiro-Actor. Yes. So how did you, to let everybody know that, so here you're the, local chiropractor, and you've done these things in your professional side of that, which we've just discussed, but you've also been in a lot of movies as an extra. That's and others. And you did it start as an extra?
Yeah. I started as an extra. The very first one I did was called The Goal. That was back in 94.
Okay.
That's an industrial film. And I took my wife with me because we had to drive to Des Moines, and it was early in the morning. So normally you don't take your spouse with you when you go on a movie set.
Yeah.
This is my first movie. But they liked her, and they put her in the movie too.
Okay.
And I got a call from my agent, which is Siri Vale from Talon, Iowa at that time. She said, they like you and your wife so much they want you back for another part. So I went back. So my first job as an actor, I did get paid. A lot of people, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you first start out, you do some extra work here and there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you've just been on a lot of sets.
Yeah, I've done a little over 100 different movies and TV shows and commercials.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And you have an agent.
Yes, I have 2 agents. I used to have 5.
Really?
I got rid of 3.
Why?
So I just kept the 2. Yep.
What would you need 5 agents for?
Well, I had 1 agent, and then there's a lady that saw me. I took some classes, acting classes from her.
Yeah.
For the Down Reed Film Festival. And she saw me, and I was in her class, and she says, I have a special class. up in Hollywood, L.A. area, Burbank, and I'd like to come up there for a month and be in my class. So I went up there and I hired a chiropractor to take care of my office while I was gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was, and she's done a lot of work. Her name is Joan Darling. And she wrote Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. She directed MASH.
Wow.
Mary Tyler Moore Show. She won a director award for Mary Tyler Moore Show. So I was in there, and there's a lot of other actors from Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
You know, that's all there. And there's a lot of people out in the audience when we were there for a whole month, you know, practicing on stage, and going through parts that she give us. And then I got back to Iowa. One of the ladies that were in the Hollywood area came back to teach a class, and she says, Jim, you got some good reviews in Hollywood. And I said, what do you mean reviews? She says, well, every time you're on stage and doing stuff and going through rehearsals and all that, didn't you notice all those people in the audience? I said, yeah. I met one. He wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We became friends.
Really?
Yeah. And so I said, yeah, I'd seen them out there. So they're actually writing reviews. And I said, I never read them. I don't know what they said, but I guess it was okay.
That's probably a good rule if, you know, for acting is just don't read the reviews. You don't got to worry about it.
And Mindy Cohen was there too. Facts of Life girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mindy.
Yeah.
Well, so now you have, so you've been doing that, like you said, for 32 years.
2 years.
And you've been in over 100 films, commercials, TV shows, and things like that. And you at one point had 5 agents, but now you've got 2. And what do they do for you? Like, does an agent, they're supposed to find you work, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how they get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get 15%.
Okay.
And I have one in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
So I'm representing Nebraska, and one in Iowa too, Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
And if something comes up, big production, they'll let me know and I'll audition for it.
Yeah.
Before COVID, I would drive to Omaha or wherever they want me to and do a live audition. But since COVID hit, everything was done, you know, just send through your internet, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's the way they still do it now too.
Really?
So Cindy runs my camera, and she reads the opposite lines of me. So she does that, and then I download it and send it off.
Yeah.
And I did 3 auditions already this month.
Really?
Yeah.
So they keep you pretty busy.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And I mean, all right, so obviously Cindy's pretty experienced with your auditioning and everything. Is there so you're filming yourself and you're reading the line, or you're saying the lines, you're not reading them necessarily. You're acting, right?
Acting, right, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a script in your hand.
Well, I could have a script, but no, I try to memorize them.
Okay.
From there.
And then do you have like is it just pretty much a straight shot, or are you trying to like they don't want any backdrop or any of that stuff? They just want
a clean backdrop.
Okay.
And I can't wear a shirt that has like Nike or anything like that on there, or thin stripes.
Okay.
Just do a plain shirt. And then my back wall in my adjustment room, one of the walls is just plain. There's no pictures, anything hanging from the wall.
Yeah.
And that's what I use.
Nice. And so, how long is an audition video that you submit? Is there an average length?
I would say anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes.
Okay, so pretty quick.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty quick. Yeah, and so I could see how that would be probably more efficient for the people to be able, the casting folks, to be able to look at that many people and not have to spend, you know, the whole day and all of that. They still have to watch everything. And
oh yeah.
And then how soon do you hear back? Like when you get a job?
If you get it, yes, you hear back. If you don't get it,
you never hear it.
You never hear.
They don't.
You know, it's really weird. There's auditions I've done, you know, in person, and I would come home thinking, "Oh man, I really messed that up.
Yeah,
I screwed up. I was so bad." Then I get a call that I got it.
Okay.
And then there are times you think, "Oh, I did so well. I got it," you know, and then you don't.
Yeah.
You just never know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the acting. My 2 boys are actors too.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a lot. And sometimes if they want a son for mother, father, like I'm trying to think who the actor was, John Travolta or somebody, but it was somebody big like that, and they're looking for a son.
Okay.
And so Jamie read for it, but he was a little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when they cast you, it's not your talent, it's if you look like
the
family you're supposed to belong to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a visual medium, so you obviously have to have the acting chops, but you have to look like what they want you to look like. And
Exactly.
yeah, and so do they describe that to you in advance, like, or is it they just okay? How does that go? Like they say age, male.
Yeah, age, male, female, whatever, Caucasian, black, whatever they're looking for.
Yeah,
And sometimes they might be casting for a female,
yeah,
like an Asian female,
yeah.
and then they like another person who's actually a white male, and they just change it up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've seen that before.
Wow. So you did 3 auditions already this month. Is that pretty average?
No, sometimes I might do one a month.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, but yeah, that's still, and it's Iowa. I mean, it's not Hollywood, but I mean, are they happening out in all over the place? So
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah,
I've traveled
yeah.
all over.
yeah. So like, without getting into details, I suppose, but like the 3 auditions you've done already this month, were those for jobs in Iowa or just around?
One was Iowa. The other one was close to Omaha,
Okay.
about an hour west of Omaha. And then the other one was River, or what is that? It's South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah, way in the east, way in the west side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Way out there. Commercials? Are those for?
One movie and two commercials.
Okay. So now are there more independent movies being made now than ever before, or about the same or less?
It's probably about the same. Some people say that there may not be as much. We had a tax incentive at one time
Oh, in Iowa.
in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And then that got ruined.
Yeah.
And
What happened there?
Well, I've got a list of about 2.5 pages of movies that were supposed to be filmed in Iowa,
Yeah.
and they pulled the rug. Because I was with the governor at the time when he signed it into law.
Okay. Which governor was that?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of his name. It only lasted like a year or two.
So
Culver,
Culver?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was right in front. I was behind him, about 6 of us behind him.
Okay.
And he signed it into law.
Yeah.
And so he'd signed, one letter of his name, and then he'd hand the pin to us. So
Yeah.
I got the pin. But then the Hollywood just started taking advantage of us. For instance, you could get 50% back. If you're an investor, you get 25%. If you're on the production team, you get 25%. Make it 50% for incentives. Mm-hmm. And they were buying like a ladder for like $130, but then they would rent it to themselves for like $300 a day.
Okay.
And one guy bought a Cadillac, and he got to write 50% of that off and keep it. So they were just doing so much stuff. And then Tom Wheeler, a really nice guy. He was the one that they put in charge of it. Mm-hmm. He's never had any experience with it. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, and they basically threw him under the bus. But he came out, clean and everything. So
you're talking
wasn't
about
charged.
this is the Iowa Motion Picture Association?
No. This is an Iowa Motion Picture Association. This is just an incentive through the state.
Oh, okay.
It's different.
Oh, so that's different. Well, we should bring that up though. Are you still the president of the Iowa Motion Picture?
Yes, I am. This is my 12th year.
Wow.
I've been with them since 2000.
Yeah.
And so this is my 12th year as president. When
Wow.
they first asked me to be president, I turned it down. I was vice president for a few years. And I said, okay, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
And I figured 3 or 4 years I'll do it, And now it's 12.
Is there, are there, how many films are made in Iowa?
There's probably something being filmed every weekend.
Really?
Yep. Independent films. And I do a lot of independent films too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where you don't get paid, you just help out a buddy. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you get paid in food or gas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be an actor in Iowa, don't expect to become a millionaire or anything like that. Make sure you have a day job.
Yeah.
And I do it because it's fun. Then you work with other people like the Coen brothers, so forth, and you get a little more money. And
Yeah.
so I've been to Hollywood, and I've been there. I've done 2 movies there. So
Can you say which movies were those? Can you say?
Yeah. It was, and that's when I went there for the acting class through Joan Darling.
Okay.
So I wasn't planning to do any movies there. When I got there, it was the year 2000.
Okay.
I did some extra work. Yep, and they were called Simone and Evolution.
Okay. Simone and Evolution.
Simone. And what's really cool about Simone, and that was in October 2000, is it's about a star, an actress who walks off the set.
Okay.
And so they wanted to create So they digitally created an actress. That sound familiar, like AI?
Yeah.
Well, that was 2000. So here's Simone, who isn't a real character, and she started winning awards.
Wow.
And the public wanted to see her. So nobody saw her in person. It was an interesting film.
That's an interesting concept. And especially well before now, it seems like that's the reality. Everything's AI, it seems like.
Yeah.
Can't even trust what's on social media.
Yeah, and there's a big debate going around.
Yeah.
AI. People liking it. A lot of people aren't liking it. It's in bad rap.
It's going to go, I mean, it's going to just continue to get better. I mean, you can, right now, you can see what, you're like, that's AI, that's fake, or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's going to get better and better. And then at some point, probably won't be able to tell.
Yeah, you won't.
Yeah. So is that going to be tough for the actors then? If people can just generate a AI, storyline and put everything together?
It could be. It could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're always going to need, the performance of the human being is important, and the storytelling that goes along with it. You've been on some, you showed me pictures one time of, you were on a set with John Goodman. What was that movie?
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah, that was Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always see his photo double,
Okay.
and I did 9 scenes for him. So they kept him in New York, and they brought me to Minnesota. I was with them, the director, for 2 days.
Okay.
And they sent his car and his clothing and so forth. So that's what I had on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool. The Coen brothers are so fun to work with. This will be my second movie I worked.
Was that was the Coen Brothers film?
Yeah, that was the second one.
Okay.
Inside Llewyn Davis. And what's really cool is that year when the Golden Globes was on in January, and my wife and I were sitting back in the chair watching the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
And since the Coen brothers, they were nominated for 3. The best movie, and then there's a best actor and the best director.
Okay.
So their film got nominated 3 times. And with the best movie, they show a little clip. And so I was sitting there, and I said, Cindy, that's not John. That's me. They showed the car in the gravel road, and I'm in the back.
Yeah.
The clothing they sent and the guitar next to me. And,
Yeah.
and so I said, this is kind of weird because here I am. I made the Golden Globes. Nobody's ever going to know it.
Yeah.
Just me. But it's kind of funny that
A photo.
tiny step.
So the photo double, you stand in for they're seeing your body, your silhouette. You're, like you said, you're riding in a car and that type of thing. And yeah. Do you get credit for that?
Oh, yeah. Photo double is different than stand-in.
Okay.
It's a stand-in because when I did my first Coen brother movie, I had a stand-in for me, which is the first time I had that. So I had lines and everything. But for this one, the photo double, I was actually portraying him.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just standing there so you get the lights and the sound and everything looking good.
Yeah.
And I matched his body type pretty much. He was like 1 or ½ inch bigger on the belly than I was. Otherwise, we were
Yeah.
just. And then I went to Des Moines and got a fake goatee.
Okay.
So I had to drive there and got back about 3 a.m. Had to upload and everything and send it to the producers. Yeah,
To get the job.
to get the job.
And then you got
That
it.
was my second job with the Coen brothers. And what's really cool about the Coen, what I like the most about acting is
Yeah.
the backstory
Yeah.
on set.
Yeah.
That is my most favorite thing. I would come back and say, this is what happened on set. Mm-hmm. And the Coen brothers do not like clean cars. And when they cast people, they like just realistic people. They don't want the stardom type people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you watch No Country for Old Men or whatever,
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a guy out there that before I got into the car, he was out there spraying it down with like a bug killer tank.
Yeah.
And he was spraying in there, and I spraying out there. I said, what are you doing? He said, the Coen brothers don't like clean cars. We're dirtying it up for you.
Really?
Yeah, so he sprayed stuff on there. It looked like,
There's a whole film side, a business. I was like, how do we make this look, instead of just making it dirty, they just say, we're going to make it dirty right here. It's much faster. And somebody knows how to do that and make it look good. What was the first Coen brothers movie that you were?
A Serious Man.
A Serious Man.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was a Red House store manager, and that was the first one I got. So I'd go to the Minneapolis area, and I went up there for hair. They cut my hair.
Yeah.
This took place back in the late 50s.
Okay.
So I cut my hairstyle just like I had when I was a kid, actually.
Yeah.
What's really cool is whenever I go for a role, and I didn't know I had lines either until I got there. I thought, okay, I'm just background stuff.
Yeah.
And with the Red Owl store manager. But what I did was we had Red Owl here in town at the time.
Yeah.
And Keith Byro was a manager there.
Okay. Yeah.
Managers. So I followed him around a little bit, asked him questions, what it was like to be a manager. And then I went to another guy's place that had a bunch of memorabilia, the Red Owl.
Yeah.
And I even had two great big Red Owl signs in the trunk of my car. And I even had a Keith Byros, says Keith, his badge.
Yeah.
And I had tie clasps. I had everything I got from this one guy that has memorabilia.
Yeah.
Red Owl. And so I went up there for the costuming. They were just going to put a plastic pocket protector in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I showed them the name badge with the Red Owl symbol on there and everything. They said, wow, this looks great.
Yeah.
So anyway, they said that I'm going to make them look good. And I said, go ahead, take the credit.
Yeah.
But then a few weeks later, I went on set and I got introduced to Joel and Ethan Cohen. And I had a trailer. You know, they treated me good. They even fed me, you know, afterwards I went to supper and they paid for it. And I mean, they're just super nice to work with. And so they weren't supposed to tell the Coen brothers that I was the one that brought the stuff. They were going to take credit. And I said, do it because, you know, for your job. And Ethan, or Joe, Ethan's the younger one. He's like 3 years older than I am. Then Joel is even a couple years older than Ethan. Ethan came up to me and he says, I see you brought your own stuff. And he gave me a thumbs up. And the girl said, yeah, we had to tell him that you brought it. So that helped.
Oh, well, that is cool. And they're cool guys.
Oh man, they're like two heads and one brain.
Yeah.
The way I explain it. You know, the brothers, they never fought. I've never seen them fight.
Yeah.
One would say something and one would say, you know, finish up the sentence, whatever, like twins would do.
Really?
They aren't twins, but oh my gosh. Yeah. And they had storyboards, you know, just the drawings of each scene. And I've kept some copies of that. So I've handed them out to people.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give you a copy of the storyboards and my script and everything. And Ethan came up to me. We were when we did the scene at the Red Owl, I was up in this booth that was above the store, you know, above the aisles, so I can look at the aisles, looking to see if anybody's stealing stuff. You know, that's where the manager would sit.
Yeah.
And they had stationery by Red Owl Stationery. He says, let's talk about your lines. So he gave me 5 lines, and he wrote it, and I kept the paper that he wrote.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. And then they brought me down, and I always had 3 people around me at all times, 3 women that do hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And then they brought me down. They put a stand in for me, which I never had stand-in before. I looked at one girl. I said, are they replacing me? She says, no, it's your stand-in. Yeah.
Well, there's a big difference, isn't there, between acting for film or television, and even differences in film and television and, you know, corporate videos, whatever. But compared to live theater, you know, you can be a lot more subtle.
Oh yeah.
With film, just because they can do, you know, close-ups. They can, you can. Theater is. It's not like it would be considered overacting,
over the top,
in film, but it would, it's necessary so that the person in the back can see what you're emoting, you know. But it's also not like 1930s where it's like it seems like everything was, and you can tell, can't you? Like you watch. I mean, you got to be a movie buff.
Yeah. Oh,
you just love movies.
Yeah.
And I always thought growing up that like all these old movies, they're like, it's classic, I tell you. And it's like, you can kind of tell that they all kind of started either in like the really old ones, like they were in vaudeville or they did a lot of stage stuff, or you know what I mean? Because they still have that delivery.
I met a vaudeville man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're still like delivering it once you got talkies, you know, and then, but they're still, and it's just like those seem like overacting.
Yeah,
now we look back 70 years, 80 years when they're making film and you're going, oh man, they're really overacting. And even into the 50s and 60s. And now it seems like everybody's very, very subtle.
Yeah. And natural is what the best thing. Like Spencer Tracy, you know, Spencer Tracy.
Yeah.
Usually when I talk about Spencer Tracy, nobody knows who the heck I'm talking about. But a reporter went up to Spencer Tracy, and I remember this so well from what he said. A reporter went up to Spencer and said, so what do you think about acting? And his quote was, acting is fine as long as you don't get caught doing it.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. So
Yeah.
now I've taught acting classes to people.
Yeah.
And I always say, you got to remember, be natural. And if somebody comes up to me and says, boy, I couldn't even tell you're acting, you're natural. My God, it's the biggest thing. And
Yeah.
there's a gentleman that I would do movies with pretty regular, but I've done about 6 movies with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'd like to do a movie where I could be mentally challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds like something, it just sounds like it'd be fun to try to do that.
Yeah.
To push that.
Yeah.
And so he wrote a movie
Yeah.
called The Star. And so I was a 50-some-year-old gentleman living with my mom who's in her 70s.
Uh-huh.
And I was mentally challenged. And they had 3 premieres one night. And this was in Minnesota. And I only made the last premiere. One gentleman came up to the director and says, how'd you find a mentally challenged person that could act so well? He said, he's not mentally challenged. He's an actor. No, and the guy wouldn't believe him.
Really?
Yeah, so I thought, that's probably the biggest
That's a great
compliment I can get.
I mean,
because he really thought I was mentally challenged.
and
Then the director brought me back to another movie with the same character. He just wrote it into the movie because he liked it.
Dustin Hoffman did it.
And my favorite actor, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
My God.
With Forrest
My
Gump.
dream,
Had something
everything.
going on.
My dream is
Yeah.
I'd love to work with Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah. Well, he's still making a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah.
It seems he's making like his he went from the Bosom Buddies goof off guy and Splash and all these other things to and what was the one Bachelor Party.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that he kind of had that period. Then he moved into
Forrest Gump
the
was
Forrest Gump thing was
fantastic,
huge.
too. Oh, man.
And then now he's like he just plays every hero that we have in history.
He can do anything.
Yeah. I heard he's going to play Lincoln.
Oh, yeah? And he creates his own character, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't do method acting.
Yeah.
And what he does is he creates his character,
Yeah.
and he'll build a family around his character, what he is, where he grew up, what it's like, his past and so forth. So he creates it. And he said, a few things you don't want to do is never write down all the ideas you have for your character, and never tell the director how you develop your character. The director might try to want to change your mind.
Yeah.
He says you keep it all to yourself and you just go for it.
Yeah.
No method acting.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Method acting can get kind of weird.
Yeah, I was in method acting. I did method acting for a lady from LA come down. She would teach
Yeah.
classes. And we did a scene in Forrest Gump. Mm-hmm. It was shortly after my brother passed away.
Yeah.
And we did the scene where the gentleman was in the hospital,
Yeah.
legs cut off, and he pulled Forrest Gump down and started yelling at him. And so I was doing that character, and I got into the character so much I couldn't get out of it. So afterwards, after the classes, we all got together. We did this all in this hotel in this big room where we did our acting, and we got together. And there's a friend of mine who was on Johnny Carson, not Johnny Carson, but one of the late shows, and he was there as a guest because he won the gold in wrestling. So I was looking at that, and then I moved away from the actors and the teacher, and I went to sit by the TV, and she says, "Come on over, join us." And I said, "No." And I said, "I know this guy, I worked with him at the Olympics, and he just won the gold for wrestling, so I want to watch him." And I started cussing and calling her names, and she couldn't believe it because I was never like that in class.
Yeah.
And she pulled me away. She says, "What's going on?" I said, "I can't get out of this character." So she talked to me. Next thing I know, I was crying my eyes out.
Really?
I was bawling like crazy.
Yeah.
She had put me in a position where I had to get out of it. I couldn't, but she helped.
I heard that does happen.
Yeah, you get in the character so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had that happen to me, but I've also not done all the things that you've done. I know that like when we did the Johnny Cash show, to me, that's a character.
You were great. You were great.
Wasn't trying to impersonate him.
Nailed that 100%.
But I wanted to talk like him. And so then we'd slip into that before, so for like a week there, on and off, I would be, but I was aware. I was like, oh, I mean, I know I'm not Johnny Cash. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
even Saturday Night in Algona, at the very end, I was in, Grandpa Joe. I got the character so much where I was supposed to be in the scene where we're searching
yeah.
for Donnie, and we're going out to the lanterns and so forth. And they pulled me out and says, no, we don't need you for the very last scene. I said, but that's my grandson.
Yeah.
I got so in the character, I really got kind of upset, and I was really quiet and stuff. And yeah, it's like, no, I have to be in it. This is I want to find him.
Because you want it, like what Tom Hanks said is accurate. Like I think, you want to definitely, you have to fill in all the pieces for the character that you're being asked to play, because the playwright or the screenwriter doesn't do that for you. They don't have this tremendous backstory. And right. Sometimes you do, sometimes the show itself kind of explains, particularly if it's like a flashback or like you have concepts of maybe where they came from and whatever. But you still have to develop that for yourself. And I think that's cool that he said that you shouldn't tell the director. I think that's correct. Because you just have to, like you said, just have to go for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in every character that I've ever played, I've always done that. Like I would imagine, who my siblings are that we don't never talk about, or maybe where I grew up or whatever, and that would give me. It just gives you a little more depth to your character, so that when you're saying the lines, and you might say the lines 100 times, or more, you still have to make it sound every time like it's the first time that you ever said it. Yeah,
and it's not all about the lines too. You gotta to be a good actor, you have to be a good listener too.
Right. Yeah.
You just can't sit there thinking about what my lines are next.
Yeah.
No way. You're in it. You create your character. You're involved in the scene.
Yeah.
You bring in the other actors, and when the actors are really at their top, it brings you to your top too.
Yeah, a little bit like a track meet, and I've heard actors not necessarily compare it to a track meet, but in a track meet, if you're running against really great runners, you're probably going to run your best time, even if you don't win. And that's the same thing with if you have a scene with just a lot of that's loaded with, even if it's, and you can see that. You also can see the opposite. I've noticed, like. I hate to say that, but that's true. So my wife and we've been watching this series called Elsbeth, and it's on.
I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, and so she's just a great actress, and then one of the episodes she's like up side by side with Alyssa Milano.
Yeah,
and my memory of Alyssa Milano is based on childhood teenage fantasies of in Who's the Boss and as she grew up but. When she's next to Elsbeth, I'm like, ooh, I mean, is it me or is she just not a very good actress? And my wife said, I don't think she was known for her acting, so it's, when you're like, you can also be outshone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, when I go on set, I know where the camera's supposed to be and the director and so forth. And you look at the camera, of course. But I just do my scene, and it's up to the camera guy and everything to position it right and everything. And so I don't even look. Sometimes I'm not even aware there isn't even a camera or director there. I just get into the scene.
When you watch a show, a movie, whatever, now, does it wreck it for you to some degree because you're recognizing the camera angles, how many switches that they're doing?
I see movies a lot differently now.
Yeah,
I'll be watching a movie and I'll tell Cindy, I'll say, "Man, I love that camera angle."
Yeah.
I love the way they did that. They kept the 180
you
rule, or if they cross the 180 rule, I know that. Or, it's got to be over the shoulder.
Yeah. And
the lighting and sound, the way the camera roams through the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I pick all that up, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's, I think what most people probably don't know, that they haven't done any acting in front of a camera, that it's kind of an arduous process, because you think it's like, the nice thing about acting on stage is that you rehearse, and you present, and it just rolls. And it's like, the audience is the camera, and they're getting their view from their viewpoint in wherever they're sitting. But the film, you're getting the director's view,
right?
How the director, he or she, wants you to see it. And so they're in total control of the presentation, or the editor or whatever. I suppose you put it all on the director's shoulders, right? But to get that, to get that scene, you will shoot segments of that scene 10 different ways or more.
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah, because like you could do like a page and a third, and it takes a whole day to do a page and a third.
yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. And then I did one movie. It was Best Man Down, and that was with Shelley Long and Justin Long and Tyler Labine, who played Lumpy, and I was Lumpy's one of his best friends. So we did a scene, and I had my movie wife with me. So we're sitting at the table, and it was at the reception of a wedding, and Lumpy was the best man.
Okay.
So they called it Best Man Down. They did call it Lumpy at first, and they changed it. Anyway, my wife and I, movie wife, would get up and dance. And Justin Long was the one that married the young lady, so it was their reception. And Lumpy was getting drunk, and he'd go around, pick up people, and do stuff. So he came up to me, and he started lifting me up, say, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And I said, "All right." And the director says, "Cut," says, "You're supposed to be upset that he's picking you up." I said, "Okay." So I pushed him away and kind of yelled at him a little bit. And then he left me, and Justin Long was dancing. And then, so he went over to them, started goofing around with them. Then Shelley Long was dancing next to me. And she looked at me, and because Lumpy went over and grabbed her. And so she looked over his shoulder, and she looked at me and says, "Help me." So I went over there, pulled Lumpy off.
Yeah.
And, and then there's a scene where he was dancing too, and he spilled wine on the bride's dress.
Yeah.
So they brought him over and sat him down on the table. And I had to stand on his left shoulder side behind him. We had another actor on his right shoulder side. And now this is a director that'll do different angles, and he'll do so many takes. That's why I said, I do 1 1/3 or 2 pages a day.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And he would do it over and over again. Well, Lumpy was supposed to start to get up from the table, then go back down, go back a little higher, and I shove him down the chair. That's supposed to be in the scene. Well, I was in the character, like I always am. And Lumpy went to get up partway, sat down. He got up, third time again, sat down. I pushed him down. I was waiting for the director to yell, "Cut." The Lumpy got up and started to run. So I went running after him. I was going to tackle his behind.
Yeah.
So I started throwing tables and chairs all over the place, chasing him. I was going to tackle him. And the director yelled, "Cut." Everybody started laughing. They even talked about the next day. They came up to me. They says, "That was so good." And so we did that at the second rehearsal. Second time is cut. And they said, Derek says, "We can't do that any better than that." Because I got into the character so much.
Yeah.
They told my job is keep him at the table.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I threw chairs and stuff until Dan down the street, the store down there, he came up to me and says, "Well, I saw you on TV the other day." I said, "Really? What was that?" He told me, he says, "A movie where you're throwing chairs." I said, "I don't remember throwing chairs in the movie." And he told me the name of it,
Yeah.
And so I watched it, and I did. I forgot. I didn't even realize I was throwing chairs.
They got it in the movie,
Until I saw it, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And that was, but Justin Long and Shelley Long, they're not related. They just have the same last name.
And when I was sitting with my movie wife at the table, we're just there talking, and we heard Shelley Long talk. We both looked at her, and we said, "That's Shelley Long." We didn't know she was in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, she's pretty notable, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
She's got the certain voice that,
yeah,
it's her.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Did you have? So your agent's finding these, opportunities for you. You're in the adjustment room, doing your screening, your casting stuff, and you're sending it in. And right here in small town Forest City, where you've been for 37 years.
37 years, yes.
And you're just going around and doing all of this stuff in addition to your business. It's amazing. So it's like you like you said, you're an actor who plays a doctor.
I'm an actor who plays a doctor in real life.
Yeah.
And my patients know it too. Most of them do.
Yeah.
And so if I have to leave for a day or two, they know it.
Yeah.
And they support me in it.
Is that about normal? I mean, what's the longest you've been away? Because I always hear about these.
I was gone for a month going through classes. And
Yeah.
But then I did a movie last year and the year before, and then I was gone for a week.
Okay.
A solid week.
Yeah. A whole week.
Yep.
Yeah. And I suppose is it okay to ask what people get paid? Like, what does an extra get? What if I was an extra and I didn't have any lines and I'm just in the background? Do you get paid for that?
Well, if it's an independent film, probably not. Yeah. It all depends. I mean, I've done commercials. I've auditioned for commercials where if I get it, it'd be like about $3,500 for half a day or a day.
Okay.
Work.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So now,
Or you could do something, it could be 800, 900 for half a day.
sure.
It all depends.
So, and a day is 10 hours or 12 hours.
You can go 12 hours. If you go over 12, then you get time and a half.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And are there, so are you a member of like the SAG or stuff
No.
like that?
No, I'm non-union.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to be union someday, but you can get 3 vouchers before you have to. I've got a voucher already. I've done some commercials and stuff and some other movies where I've worked with union movies, but they would hire me as non-union. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they will do
I really
that.
don't, because once you become a union, then you can't do the non-union stuff,
Okay.
and you're very limited on what you can do. I just like to act.
Yeah.
So I got 1 voucher, but that was from a Best Buy commercial.
Yeah.
Done 2 of those.
Well, what's the advantage of the union?
Well, you get insurance.
Oh,
You get better pay.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, they can't pay. I've gotten paid union pay before, but didn't have to get the voucher. They keep me as the lowest pay for union. Like the Coen Brothers, I got union pay there, but they kept it as the lowest part, so I wouldn't have to get a voucher.
Interesting.
Yeah. Otherwise, then once you get your 3rd voucher, then when you go to your next movie, then you have to join, and that's probably around $1,600 or $1,800 to join.
Yeah, you got to pay.
You got to pay.
It's not, you can't just go and say, hey, I'm going to be part of your club. It's like, well, it's going to cost you. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So you're non-union. Is that how it is in most of the films that are made in Iowa? Are they independent films?
Yeah, they're more independent, non-union. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll bring in stars from here and there.
Yeah. I mean, Iowa's a right to work state, so I don't know if that makes any difference
does.
anyway.
Yeah, it does.
But back when Iowa had the film office or whatever it was.
Yeah, Iowa Film Office.
Yeah, and it didn't go the right direction. I remember that being in the news, that unfortunately those things happened, but it got taken advantage of by Hollywood. Surprise! They're pretty crafty.
We have an incentive right now, which isn't as good as what it was. We've had this for close to a year. A lot
Yeah.
of people still don't know about it. But you have to have a business, like the warehouse or something like that, for like 3 years, I think it is for Iowa.
Okay.
Have a business. And then the budget has to be several $1 million, which leaves out most of the people doing independent films, so it's not benefiting them at all.
Yeah.
It's still just benefiting the big Hollywood people coming here.
Right. And was that when that idea came about? Was it based on kind of what Georgia was up to? Because Georgia's been successful in that regard. I think they've been pretty successful. You see all these movies.
Atlanta to me is like a Hollywood.
Really? Yeah.
You have Hollywood, then Atlanta I think is like 2nd or 3rd. New York is pretty big too. That's more theater. But Atlanta, Georgia, yeah,
Yeah. They make a lot of.
a lot.
They also make a lot of films up in Canada, British Columbia, and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, if you like the doc, the gentleman that wrote the doc way back when, 20 years ago, 2000, doc was popular because I met the guy. He was living in L.A., but he's from Buffalo Center, I think, somewhere around there.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Johnson Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met them up there, and I was going through, my acting classes and so forth. But when they did doc, they can only bring in like 2 or 3 American actors, USA actors. Everybody else with the tax incentives, they had to be up in Canada.
Okay.
Like Billy Ray Cyrus,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the star of it. So.
Billy Ray.
Yeah, because I told him, I says, man, put me in your movie. He said, well, we can't.
Yeah. Did you have, so do you have, you've met all these, you can name drop. This is the perfect time to name drop all these people that you've met or some of the people, I guess.
Yeah, like Shelley Long, Justin Long,
Yeah.
Richard Kind, Alan Cummings. Good story there, too.
Oh, well, what's
Ned
that?
Beatty.
Yeah, come back to that.
Yeah.
Ned Beatty. Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he was, when I met him, he came out of his trailer. We were on set. He came out of his trailer, and he was wearing a lime suit.
Okay.
But there's a tragedy going on that happened that day. My sons and I, we've done a lot of acting together. Matter of fact, every time we did a movie in Minnesota, they called us the Iowa Boys.
Oh, okay.
So we do a lot of stuff. And Jimmy was 16. He was directing a movie. up in Minnesota, and they told, and that was Eastern Minnesota, and we had to be on set for this movie called Sweetland. But we were required to get a hotel in the town in Minnesota. And what happened is when we got up that morning, we went to film Sweetland, Superman died. Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
He died that morning.
Oh.
And Ned Beatty was in Superman.
Yeah, he was.
So we didn't shoot Ned Beatty scenes that day.
Yeah.
But that was pretty tragic. And then that's the time when Alan Cumming was there. And the story, like I said, I like the backstories. My two sons and I, well, there's a young man there that was with Alan Cumming. And Alan Cumming's from New York. And Alan knew that he had a role in this movie called Sweetland, but he had this favorite dog. He takes his dog wherever he goes. So he was out in the street in New York, and he saw this kid about 15, 16 on a skateboard. And he asked the kid, says, "Hey, would you mind traveling with me to Iowa and take care of my dog?" And he got permission from his parents. So my kids hung out with this guy, this young kid, and all he did was took care of Alan. So he paid for his flight and everything. So he actually hired somebody right off the street, skateboarding by, to take care of his dog, which is very interesting.
I mean, it's a great story. Today you wonder, like, oh, that's kind of weird. Why, hey man, why are you doing that? But
yeah,
that's good. You said you had a good backstory. Was that for? No, it was
Alan Cumming. Yeah,
Alan Cumming. Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, Ned Beatty, Mr. Luthor.
Oh my gosh,
he was great. Yeah,
that was a sad day when we heard Christopher Reeves.
Yeah,
passing away that day.
And so, who else you got on your list over there? Folks that you've interacted with?
Oh my gosh, the kids table, we just did that in 24, and I played. I was Doug Harris in that one, and that was storylines, full-length feature film. We shot in Cedar Rapids for a week, and I was there every day because I was one of the main characters, co-starred in that, and that was really fun to do. I had to fall down a flight of stairs, so I did that 5 times.
Oh,
yeah. And
do you know a good chiropractor?
Yeah. And I thought I felt good because I fell three times one day. Then we want to shoot that scene over again the next day. And the director says, "You sure you want to do this? We can get a stand-in for you or stunt double." And I said, "No, I'll do it." So I fell down probably about 5 stairs at the bottom. And when I got done, I came home. My leg was sore.
Yeah.
I got a big blood clot in my leg.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
happens, and
yeah. We were in character, man.
I was in character.
You go down those stairs.
And Small Town Girl, we did that last year.
Yeah.
That was fun. I was there for a whole week with that. Yeah.
Well, it's highly organized too. I don't think people realize how obviously the higher level, studio films down, but the shots are the dailies, everything, like the schedule, it's all, it's money, and you're paying a lot of people. On a small independent film, you might have a crew of a dozen, but if you have a big money film, how many people are just, there's like hundreds. Yeah. Could be.
Oh my gosh. A lot. And one other movie, it was a Prairie Home Companion. I was there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So was Jimmy.
Yeah.
And that had Woody Harrelson and Lindsay Lohan and
Kevin Kline. Yeah.
Harrison Keeler. Gina Madsen.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly.
I like that movie.
I've seen pretty much all these people there on set.
Yeah.
And the director is Robert Altman. And he started directing, I think, in the 50s, maybe in the 40s, but he was old.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, this is like behind-the-scenes story.
Yeah.
Robert Altman's the type of guy that'll say what he wants. He swears, cusses, he does everything. And he's not that nice guy that'll tap you on the shoulder and say, "Good job."
Yeah.
But that's just the way he is.
Yeah.
People want to work with Robert Altman because he's done so many incredible things. But they hired a young director to direct with him, to be by his side, because Robert Altman, his health was failing, and they didn't think he was going to live through directing the movie. Yeah, so they hired this guy, and I looked at this kid, and he looked like he was like mid-20s.
Yeah.
And we had 3 cameras set, camera 1, 2, and 3, and Woody Harrelson and Lindsay Lohan was in the scene, and I was in the scene with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Altman said, he started yelling, cussing out camera guy number 2. He says, I cannot see. You got your camera set up wrong. You're wasting my money. He's going on. And then Woody says, hey, Bob. I guess he's probably the only guy who could call him Bob. He said, hey, Bob, what if Lindsay and I moved a little bit this way? Because there's chairs in the way, And so they moved, and Robert says, perfect, looks great. And then the guy behind camera 2 looked at Woody and says, thank you, Woody.
Thank you,
so
Woody.
that's a backstory there. That's when I really met the real Robert Altman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I
love that movie.
I don't know if he saw the movie or not, because shortly after his release, he died shortly after that.
Really?
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he even got a chance to see it complete or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that show. I like Prairie Home Companion. I like that sense of humor and Lake Wobegon from Garrison Keillor, all of that.
John C. Reilly was awesome. God, he was funny.
Oh man, yeah. And from there he went on Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, and he's done tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So all kinds of people. If you were to give advice,
Mm-hmm.
I mean the ups and downs, the pros and cons of being an actor.
Yeah.
What would you tell people?
Well, starting out, if you have a chance to be in an independent film, just a bunch of buddies doing a short film, maybe a 15, 20-minute film, whatever, and they need an extra, start out doing the extra work.
Yeah.
That's how you build your resume and get practice and people see what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. Never get discouraged if you audition for a movie. I've auditioned for hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
TV shows and stuff. And, if you don't get it, don't get discouraged. I've heard some people say they've auditioned 100 times before they got the part.
Yeah.
And then don't do it for the money.
Right.
Do it because you love it. If you don't love it, then it's something you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just keep going for your dream.
Now, if you were going to, how would you give advice about getting an agent or doing that type of thing? Like, how do you, at what point do you say, yeah, I probably should get an agent?
Yeah. Well, I got Sherry Vale from Talent, Iowa. I got her because, and how I got interested in acting is I had a mother and father as a patient and their 2 children. And they had a son and a daughter, and they were like 10 and 12 years of age. And they're talking about acting, got this agent, Sherry Vale. And so I said, I'd like to meet her. So I called her. She says, I want you to come down, bring the whole family. So actually she signed up all 6 of us.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't, that was in 92, but we didn't get anything going until I got my first job in 94.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it could take a while, and finding an agent, I guess you'll know when the time is right, when you're starting to do stuff. Now, the agent Des Moines, he kept asking me to join his agency for a couple of years, and I just wouldn't sign up. And another thing, too, is with these independent films, I can do an independent film without the agent,
Yeah.
I don't have to work strictly with the agent.
Right.
Because he said, if somebody comes up like independent film, so forth, just take it, So he was good. So finally I said, I'll sign with you. So I did.
Now, you and I have been on film together.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we have.
And
You saw The Night in Algona?
2 films together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I was even credited in that one. I was in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was even credited. Maybe I was. Yeah. I mean, no speaking. I was just coming out of I was in the cornfield.
Yeah.
As a German POW.
And I cast several people on that.
Yeah.
They asked me to cast extras, so I did that for them. And then there's about 3 speaking roles.
Yeah.
The director called me up and says, hey, I need so-and-so. You know somebody that can speak German? We need them like within a week.
Yeah.
I said, I know the person. I mean, I know all these actors and stuff around here. I said, I know a guy. So I called him up, and German is his second language. And we've done a lot of movies together.
Oh, sure.
So they hired him. They hired 2 other people that I recommended.
Yeah.
And then I helped. I didn't get any credit as producing or anything like that for Saturday Night in Algona. But I'm their Iowa connection, and there's a movie we want to do coming up. And about a year and a half ago, they made me associate producer.
Okay.
And my job is to raise money for it, which is tough to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so maybe a social producer in that one, but we haven't kicked that off yet.
Yeah. That's
Still trying to raise money.
so. The first one we were in together, that was Rise of the Sea Urchin.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you did a great job, man. You're so funny.
I tell you, that movie
You're the star in that one.
has been. I don't think Ray McQueen was supposed to be the star of that show. He's the main character.
Yeah, but
Steal that show.
you stole it, man. Ray was good. Ray was my son actually in the movie.
Yeah. You played the dad that floated away on a balloon experiment
Yeah,
on a lawn chair.
yeah,
Which is funny.
And we filmed the last scene first
Yeah.
because I had to grow a beard and look bad, and I had 2 sets of clothes,
Yeah.
exactly the same set, and I even put my shirt. I ripped it up, buried it in the dirt for a few days.
I remember you showed me those, and it was
Then
fantastic.
I put grease and oil and dirt in my hair and stuff, so I looked really terrible.
Yeah.
And then I cleaned myself up and put on the clean clothes that weren't cut up and so forth, and did the beginning of the movie.
I mean, so that was fun. That was a fun show. I think that I have a buddy who's been on this show. He's in the National Guard with me, Jesse Howard, and he has promoted that film probably more than anybody else in the world. I think he made people watch it. Like, he was in charge of soldiers. So he's like, that's what we're watching tonight. And I'm like, why are you watching that movie? Because I think you can see it on YouTube if you really want to. And it was, I mean, it's okay. It was a funny movie. It's funny.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a low budget independent movie.
It's a great movie for you.
Yeah.
My gosh,
Had a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And that was a lot of work. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
Everybody had jobs, so it's like you'd have to do stuff. We'd go up to the Albert Lee High School, to the swimming pool, or we'd go to Decorah and, use Luther's pool. So you'd be up, but you'd have to, and filming that's how film is. So like, if you're probably filming late at night when nobody's around. So you have, all of that stuff. And it's,
and you don't do it out of sequence too.
Yeah. It's not, you're not starting
You're not
at the
starting
beginning
to the end. No.
No.
Because if you have several scenes, that's at like a farmhouse.
Yeah.
Do all the scenes there in the 2 or 3 or 4 days. Then you go somewhere else like the swimming pool, do all their scenes there.
Yeah.
And I've even, being an actor, I mean, I've produced many movies, and I've written 2, and I've directed 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to do that.
Well, you love film. I mean, you love it. Yeah. More than a stage.
Yeah. I'd like to do stage sometimes because we've done that.
Yeah.
But every time they have a production, and I look back and go, it's a good thing I did an audition because I either did a movie during the time of rehearsal or the night of the show.
Yeah.
Because, And acting, like you said, it's different from the stage, of course.
Yeah.
With the heavy makeup and over the top. Because in acting, you got to yell or you talk loud enough so people in the back can hear you.
Yeah.
And, you get mic'd and so forth, or boomed or whatever with the films. And a lot of times the best scenes are nonverbal.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Just the way you look.
Yeah.
And the Coen brothers, they do a lot of that too.
Yeah.
They do scenes where it's just things are quiet for quite a while. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And you can get a lot. Like, I think British filmmakers are fantastic at really drawing out a scene and not necessarily a lot of dialogue and just making you kind of sit in the room with them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if I thought I was going to drop my phone there for a second, but it survived.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, what is the? It seems like because of social media and everybody's got a phone, and the phone cameras are actually pretty good, pretty darn good.
Very good.
Now you can Movie Maker on your iPhone, and it's amazing. Then AI and all this stuff up. Do you think that the performative nature of our kids is becoming more so now because they're just used to being on camera, or they're used to being Snapchat or Instagram or whatever I don't even know them all, but is that a thing? Are you seeing that from your experience? Now you're interacting with a whole generation of kids that have always had a phone in their hand.
Yes, and I love that too. The biggest thing I like about acting and this filmmaking, I love seeing junior high kids, high school kids, college, going out doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And we even have a category too for the Iowa Independent Film Festival, which will be September 10th, 11th, and 12th in Mason City.
Okay.
And the Iowa Motion Picture Association, our award show is May 30th. And the week before that, we're going to be showing movies.
So that's coming up here in the next month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love it when we both have, students. And you can do so much through the phone. And when I do my auditions, I don't edit anything. If I'm doing a 3-minute dialogue and I screw up a word, we start over again.
Yeah.
That's just the way I do it. But yeah, like I said, I just love it. Just brings me so much happiness to see the kids get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely do, and I think it's the human nature to tell a story, to tell a joke, to make your buddy laugh or make them cry, tell them a sad story or whatever it is. Those are I think it's a good thing. So, and the good thing about acting in film is, like you've indicated, a lot of the things that you're doing are one day. Sometimes they're a few days, and so anybody. I don't say anybody can do it, but like all ages. So you could be listening to this and you're like, "Well, I just turned 91."
Oh yeah.
It was like, yeah. Well, there's probably a 90-year-old part for you.
Well, look at that lady do the commercial. Where's the beef?
Yeah.
Where's the beef?
Yeah, that was great.
She's old.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say she's not with us anymore.
I don't think
that was from the 80s. Yeah, she was old then. But isn't that funny though? Like how when you're looking at people in film is eternal. So you can look at somebody and watch a movie with, I don't know, Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, hubba hubba.
Oh yeah,
She's
I remember Raquel.
She's like 90. I don't know how old she is. She's 80 years old. It's like I think she's still. I don't. I think she's still. But so it's film is eternal, and that's where the theater is fleeting. Like you can be have the best performance that's ever been done of Hamlet, but because the world can't see it anymore, we just have to take your word for it. But in film, you can go back to it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and my look and so forth, my character look. I like comedy. That's my favorite. And I was doing a movie with the lady who was on Young and Restless, I believe it was, for 18 years. Played Margot.
Yeah.
And so, we had dinner with the director and some other people too. So there's like 5 of us, and she said something to me. Well, I told the director this story once when I was taking these acting classes, not from Joan Darling, but a lady that would fly to Des Moines and Chicago, and I'd take her classes. She looked at me, and I have this double chin, this is just my look.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and says, you should think about getting rid of that, And so I told Jamie, my youngest son, I said, this is what she said I should do. He said, Dad, but if you do that, you wouldn't be you.
Yeah.
I thought, you're absolutely right. When I told the director this, then they told this lady who was on the Young and Restless, and she was sitting next to me, and she grabbed it and she said, the director told me your story. And she says, don't change. She said, you're hot. And I'm thinking, okay, what are you kidding? Nobody's ever called me hot before. She goes, and what I mean is if you go to Hollywood, and if you're 18 to 21 and you weigh 160 to 180 pounds, he says there's thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands. Says, look at you. You're unique. You got your look. You got your character.
Yeah.
They said, you don't have thousands of people looking just like you.
Yeah.
She says, keep what you got.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you are unique and a unique story, and I think you've brought a lot of happiness to people because your demeanor, whether it's on this show or just that you're being you. You're not acting now.
No.
This is who you are. Yeah. You're a kind person. You love telling stories. You've had a lot of cool experiences. You're not necessarily like bragging, like name dropping and stuff. But boy, if somebody opens up that can of worms and say, I didn't know you did. And then he's like, oh yeah. And then you scroll through your phone and like this, this, and all these stories.
Yeah.
It's a cool little, it's not a secret, but it's a cool thing. And it's inspiring that people can have this other situation going on, this other I don't say hobby, interest,
Yeah.
love,
Yes.
and be performative and learn a skill and meet interesting people and do a little bit of traveling, tell some stories and have it preserved for a long, long time. And
Yeah.
that's a cool thing you're a part of. And I'm just glad that you're able to share some of those stories with us. Is there anything that I didn't get a chance to ask you that you were hoping that I would ask?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything pretty well.
Very good.
I can't think of anything where I was saying.
Well,
I probably will 5 minutes from now.
I want to ask you this. Do you have anything that you want to plug or organization or
Yes.
a website or anything like that?
Yes, the Iowa Motion Pitch Association. We are having our awards gala. Be our 35th annual awards gala. And that's going to be May 30th at the Palms Theater in IMAX in Waukee, Iowa. We had it there last year too. And then the week leading up to the gala, we'll have a showcase of all the nominated films shown at the Fleur Cinema and Cafe in Des Moines. So keep that in mind. And our website is impa.tv. impa.tv.
And we'll put a link in the show notes so folks can get to that.
And then the Iowa Independent Film Festival, that takes place in Mason City. And there's a theater, the mall down there in Mason City that we're working on. And we're going to be having a premiere of a movie coming up soon so we can show it. And then we'll have our awards show there. And that's September 10th, 11th, and 12th, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And so keep that in mind. And we'll show films there and also at the Mason City Community Theater.
Good.
We'll show films there too.
Good. And is there a website for that?
Yes, it's iifilmfestival.org.
Perfect. So both of those links will be in the show notes there. Folks can check those things out. Plan to attend. It's always fun to go.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the Fleur. I know exactly what movie theater you're talking about down there on Fleur Avenue in Des Moines. And it is a cool kind of old. It's not necessarily an old building, but they've kind of got an old school feel to it. I do like that. Yeah, and they show like retro movies too, occasionally. As
Yeah,
well, I understand.
and that's where I met Bill Murray too last year.
Oh, really?
I got called.
Just throw that in at the end.
Sorry, name dropping. I didn't know he was going to be there. See,
Yeah.
I got a call about 2:00 in the morning
Yeah.
from the treasurer from the Iowa Motion Picture Association. Said, "We need you here. You got to get off work. You got to come here because we're promoting a film." Mm-hmm. And Bill Murray's in it, and a famous dog from Newton, Iowa, is in it. And so I went. So I did cancel the patients. I went there. I was in a room at the theater, and I was writing all the questions down. And then this lady came up to me and says, "Nobody knows this, but Bill Murray's going to be here in a half hour." I said, "Oh my gosh!" So I started writing letters from. So I got pictures of him and I together. People in the audience were taking pictures. So
Yeah.
I got those because I was interviewing Bill, and I was telling Bill Murray. And the two directors were there, and the lady that owned the dog, and the dog was there. So I was telling them how we're going to do the interview, the questions I'm going to ask, and so forth. And so there's some pictures of that. And I didn't know Bill Murray's going to be there. It's so cool. And then Bill Murray has a band. And he asked me.
He does?
Yeah. So he asked me to come with him and watch the band. So I did that.
Wow.
Got home about 2 a.m, had to work the next day.
Yeah, but what a cool story. So you got to hang out a little bit with Bill. Is he a cool guy?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine that he is. I mean, like Peter Venkman. You're talking to Peter Venkman or Carl Spangler, from Caddyshack and just all a million things.
And I introduced him. I said, "And here's Bill Murray with that deadpan look, like he always has."
Yeah.
And I'd start laughing and stuff. Yeah. And then he says, "And you're a chiropractor. I just might need an adjustment afterwards." Well, we never did that.
Yeah.
But
What
he was fun to work with.
Yeah, and he doesn't have an agent.
Doesn't have an agent?
No, I don't know that for a fact.
I don't know that
I was
either.
like,
I don't know.
the legend is that I've heard is that he has an 800 number.
Oh, yeah?
So if you want him to be in a film, you call the 800 number.
I learned something today.
And then he'll listen to it, and if you're interested, he'll call you back.
Yeah.
And then he just shows up.
Yeah, the movie's called The Friend.
The Friend.
The Friend.
And that's coming
And
out.
I haven't seen it because when they're
Or it's
showing-
out.
It's out. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because what they did, they had the premiere there,
Okay.
and they had about 300 people in the audience. It's a private. Nobody in the audience could come in. They had people from all over
Okay.
there watch it. And then after they ran it, the guy that owned the IMAX Says, I know you didn't see the movie because you're so busy writing questions for Q&A afterwards. We did about half-hour Q&A afterwards. He says, I'll play the whole movie for you if you want to go in there alone and watch it. I said, no, Bill Murray invited me to go watch him play.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go watch him play. But I still haven't seen the movie. But I want to see it. I want to see it.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Dr. Jim Brockhohn, the Chiro-Actor, and that's obviously going to be the title of this episode. You bring a lot of joy and insight into the this interesting career that you've also got going on, and that's what the sunny side of life is supposed to be about when we talk about things like the pursuits which make us happy. And I can't think of a better example. You're a guy that this is what you love to do.
I love it.
Very good. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the sunny side of life and for being the sunny side of so many other people's lives.
Well, thank you so much, Troy. I appreciate this so much.
When the shadows fall and doubts begin to creep, remember together we're strong, never weak. Lift your neighbor up with kindness every day. Let your actions speak the words you want to say.
The Sunny Side of Life is a weekly production about our life on the family farmstead here in Iowa, the liberties we prize, and the pursuits which make us happy. None of this is possible, of course, without Christ in our lives. For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory.
Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life. Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the sunny side of your life in Christ be made evident unto you each and every day, and give you peace.